Hey, everybody. This week on Up Your Alley, it's the final week of All Affleck April. We're talking about my recommendation for Jake, the 2003 film Paycheck, based on the short story by Philip K. Dick and directed by John Woo, starring, of course, Ben Affleck. But first, we're talking about Jake's recommendation for me, the 2006 album Confessor Brings the Flood by singer-songwriter Neko Case. We've got a couple more news items to bring up, too. And Jake's finally reading a comic I told him to. And I went and saw a great comedian over the weekend. And Jake, anything to add?
Oh, yeah. You did do that.
Yeah, I did. We'll talk about it. But first, we're going to play the riff. It is Neko Case, by the way. Neko. Yeah, that was at the end of last week. You were like, I'm not sure if it's
I keep
Neko.
saying it, Neko. Yeah.
Right. I mean, yeah, but it's Neko. I looked it up. Hey, everybody, welcome to the podcast. It is Up Your Alley. We're episode 71, the final week of All Affleck April. My name is Taylor. With me, as always, is my best friend, Jake Baggett. Say hi, Jake.
Hi, buddy.
If you haven't listened to the show before, thank you for joining us. Everyone that's subscribed on YouTube, thank you for doing that. We're up over 2,400. That's rad.
Amazing.
If you're listening to this on any other platform, review, subscribe, do all that good social media stuff. We really appreciate you guys jumping aboard. If it is your first time, this is how the show works. Jake and I are best friends, and like every group of friends, we recommend things to each other. We say, hey, you should watch this. You should listen to this, do whatever. And like most groups of friends for years and years, we never did those things that the other person recommended. Unless we had to be dragged kicking and screaming to go do something.
Unless we have to do it together.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So now we started a podcast and we recommend something to each other each week. Then we come back, talk about it, grade it on a scale of 1 to 3 based on how much it is up our individual alleys. I think that's the most concise description of the show I've ever given.
Yeah.
I fall into this bad trap of assuming that everyone knows what we're doing here, which is not much.
We recommend to each other something, and then we want to talk about it.
And at one point, there was a scoring system, but there's not anymore. So everything's good. So like I said, we are talking about Jake's recommendation for me, album by Neko Case, Confessor Brings the Flood, and final week of All Affleck April, Paycheck. Mm-hmm. I think I saved one of the best for last, and we also have a fun All Affleck April finale game to play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got this loaded up, brother.
I've been planning All Affleck April for a while.
Since the last All Affleck April.
We got a new segment for the show, and it's going to be called Taylor Rips Off Other People's Segments.
I don't know what that would be.
That's the end of All Affleck April.
Oh, are we doing it now? Oh,
no. It's at the end. It's at the end.
Okay.
That's how you get people to keep listening.
Okay.
See?
We call that a teaser trailer.
Or it's a promise of payoff is what it is.
We call
it's
that.
like, you ever watch something on like Instagram or TikTok or whatever? It's like, you're never going to believe how this turns out.
Yeah,
And then you're just like,
skip it immediately.
But I kind of want to see how it's going to turn out.
Don't care.
Yeah. Isn't that obnoxious how people do that? So wait till the end.
Yeah.
Until
to find out what this game is.
Or skip ahead to, I'm going to say minute marker 5 minutes before this is over. So, Jake, I went and saw a comedian.
Yes.
Last Sunday at the DC Improv. First time I'd been back to the Improv since COVID was over.
Nice.
I realized that. I was like, wow. And it's one of those things. I forget we live so close to, like, the nation's capital.
Yeah.
And every time I get in DC, I'm like, I like it up here.
Yeah, it's a day's drive. Like, you make a day out of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean, we went in, we took the Metro up there.
Yeah.
I haven't been on much public transit, but DC Metro, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Never have any real problems there. Go right to the club. Comedian was Dan Soder. Are you familiar with Dan Soder?
I've seen a couple of his clips.
Yeah.
A couple times.
You would love him. He's working on new stuff, and because he just put out an album or a special on YouTube last month or 2 months ago.
Yeah.
Already up over 1 million
As an
views.
example, this is one of those things that you recommended to me, and I just did not listen to it.
I would have recommended Dan Soder and a couple other comedy specials, but it's April. I'm busy. I'm busy in April.
Yeah.
But he's working on new stuff, and I think I really like the way the comedy audience is now, because we went on a Sunday night, my brother and I went, and being a big fan of comedy, I got the vibe that everyone else knew what he was doing. He's at a club. He's a theater comedian, but he's at a club. Mm-hmm. He just put out a special. It's Sunday. It's like he's working on new stuff. He had his note card. Not that he was unprofessional or didn't put on a show.
Yeah.
But you could tell
he's working
that
on new material.
He's working on building his next hour. All of it killer material, and it's good now. Some of his bits, I was dying laughing. He has a lot of stuff about his family, and family troubles, everything like that. He's engaged now. All that stuff is just killer. He's on his way up. Like
the one I remember is He's talking about how he was like an alcoholic in his 20s, waking up on the subway just covered in his own vomit, being like, there are no good women left to date.
I almost sent you that clip today because it popped up in my feed.
That was kind of funny. I like self-aware people like that.
He's a good guy. He's also from the line of comics. He stopped drinking. And I love that mentality. It's just like, not that the, oh, woe is me. You know, it's going to destroy your life. He's like, oh, no, I had too much fun, and I had to stop having fun. Which, it's not to belittle anyone's addiction experience or whatever, but
it's just a way to look at it when you're looking back.
It's all about perspective. It's stuff that we talked about. So he's great. And then we're going to see another comedian. You and I are going.
Yes.
I guess it'll be the day after this comes out. Ari Shafir, stand-up comedian, will be recording his new special. So it's kind of fun. I got to see Dan Soder working on his new stuff for a special. Yeah. And then on Saturday, we'll get to see the final product of Ari recording his special. And his previous special that was on YouTube, Juke, it's over 2 million views and probably over 3 million views by now. But huge, well-produced special. So it's kind of, I'm excited to see that too. Yeah. I'm excited you're going to that.
I'm excited to check it out.
Yeah.
I have no strong feelings for Ari Shafir one way or the other.
He's very funny.
I liked the show This Is Not Happening a lot.
That was his baby, the Storyteller show.
Yes. But beyond that, I really don't know anything about him.
You never listened to his podcast much?
No.
Oh, okay.
It's called Shark Tank.
Skeptic Tank.
It's called Shark Tank.
Shark Tank is the show where a bunch of millionaires tell you that you're asking too much money for stuff.
That show is great.
It's up there with Deal or No Deal for... If there's a whole channel of just this, I'd probably subscribe to that.
Oh, yeah. If they had... Oh, yeah. I think just somebody walking in being like, I want $20 million for 30% stake. Yeah. I make steaks for dogs. Like, this is great. Let's get into nitty gritty. Why do I need 20 million?
Exactly. Your valuation is way up. Yeah. It's one of those shows that makes you feel like an expert immediately. Yeah. Like they're coming in, it's like, Sharks, I'm coming in with $10 million, asking for $10 million for a 52% stake. It's like, where's his numbers are way off. Yeah. He doesn't understand the market on this.
Why would you get so 52%?
What's his overhead? What's his overhead? Like, I become like a shithead business major real quick after about 2 pitches on Shark Tank.
I love Shark Tank.
Oh, it's great. What else?
So if you call your show Tank, it better be better than Shark Tank. Well, otherwise, it's getting a 0.
Skeptic Tank is a play on Septic Tank.
0.
Only he's a skeptical about stuff. I think you would like it. Speaking of skeptical about stuff, I started listening to so many things now that just bug me. We talked about it a little bit last week about the Graham Hancock.
I'm opening your eyes, buddy.
Yeah,
you want to talk to a skeptic? I'm a skeptic, baby.
You are.
I'm a skeptic and I'm a cynic.
Yeah.
And so I got you.
And yet you're
doing it right.
Still filled with childlike wonder.
You know
which is
why?
Just a strange thing.
It's because people have the idea of what cynicism is incorrect.
That's true.
You can be upset that the world is chaos and horrid, or you can revel in it and be like, I got nothing to lose.
Fair enough.
I can have a good time with this.
Bit more of the absurdist philosophy. You've been recommending some good philosophical stuff over the course of this show that I enjoy as well.
Philosophical guy.
Speaking of things we recommended, I gave you, this wasn't a recommendation on the show, but it was just something I gave you. The comic, graphic novel, Something is Killing the Children.
Yes.
And I told you this, I'm like, this is going to be the next thing that's probably going to be adapted.
Yes. And I hear that it is getting adapted.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to say it's Netflix, but I'm not 100% sure.
It depends on, what's that girl? Lucy Slaughter? Is that her name?
Yes. No, Erica Slaughter.
Erica Slaughter. It depends on who they get to play Erica. It makes me interested.
Yeah. My first thought the rundown of Something is Killing the Children is the main character is Erica Slaughter. She shows up to a town where children are being murdered en masse, and it's it's Netflix that's doing the show. So it turns out she's a monster hunter. She comes from the House of Slaughter, which is people that go to towns and they're a shadowy organization. They get more and more powerful as the series goes on. Well, they don't get more and more powerful. You find out more and more about them. But it's just really...
what Erica's working with?
Yeah. And they're monster hunters, basically. Yeah. So it's a little bit Stranger Things. It's a little bit...
well, it's the writing that was really good.
Yeah.
It's something that was... The dialogue feels very natural for something that's in a comic book.
Yeah, and it's written by James Tynion. We should say that, too.
I don't know who that is.
He's the writer of Something is Killing the Children.
Oh.
Yeah. He did a great.
Did he write anything else?
Yeah, he did some Justice League Dark stuff, and he also did
cool.
Batman / Ninja Turtles crossover.
Oh, cool!
That was pretty good too. Yeah, he's a good writer.
Okay, but I like the way Erica talks.
Yeah,
she really sticks out because she's very impatient, but she's trying her best to have patience with you.
She gives off good Aubrey Plaza vibes a little bit.
Yeah.
Just like kind of cynical and done with it and doesn't have time for these children that she's trying to save.
She's if I could cast her, I would cast Samara Weaving.
How do I know Samara Weaving?
I don't know where you would know her from.
Okay.
Honestly, she's in a movie called The Babysitter, where she's the babysitter.
Yeah. She's Australian. She was in the running for. She was in the running for Supergirl. That's
she?
How I know her.
Well,
she was on the short list for Supergirl. I have that book over there too. Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow.
I think she would be perfect.
I could see that. Yeah.
But they arrest Erica at one point, and the sheriff's talking to her, and the sheriff's just like, You stroll in, you have nobody. She's like, yeah, okay. And he's like, so do you want to talk about it? It's like, no, okay, sure, yeah. She's just like, keep talking, you know. Just get this out of the way so I can get out of here. I'm gonna get out of here. You know, I'm gonna get out of here.
Yeah.
But she's like, I'm doing this because I'm a good person. I don't want to get upset with you, but I got to get out of here to help you.
Yeah.
I can't tell you what's happening.
Dude,
but
it gets so much better. You've only read. I gave you volumes 1 through 3.
Yeah, and I only read volume 1,
Yeah.
and the Erica definitely makes you want to read more. The situation was, for something called Something is Killing the Children, very macabre.
You thought it was a little more lighthearted than this?
When you see children die, I'm like, mercy me.
Yes, something is.
This is happening.
It's not like one of those things where they show it off screen. Like something is killing the children.
I was like,
you see half kids all over the place.
Yeah, I was like, goodness.
Yeah, it's super violent. When I was first reading the book, it was when they first announced Anya Taylor-Joy as Furiosa, and that's the vibes I get from that. Like Anya Taylor-Joy, I think could do this.
Yeah, sure.
Although she's way too big now.
Yeah.
But if they had made this maybe 4 or 5 years ago,
she's just got the big eyes.
Yeah.
That Erica's got.
Yeah. But yeah, Samara Weaving, good call. And her uncle is Hugo Weaving.
No way.
Yeah, Weaving, Australian.
That's the best news I ever heard.
It's on the Wikipedia page.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's the coolest thing.
Hugo Weaving's a good dude.
Hugo Weaving must be cool as hell.
You would hope so.
Yeah, right?
It'd be a real bummer if he wasn't. And this is something, a news story I got into, but you know more about it than I do. So tell me, because you're the computer video game
You're
guy.
telling me a little bit about this.
So tell me what Gary's Mod is.
Gary's Mod is just a application / game thing that you can download.
On Steam. It's a
on
computer
Steam,
thing.
yeah, where you can it's like a big sandbox. You can import things and mess with them.
Right.
Or make things and just interact and
So is it like
go kooky.
Is it a development?
Kind of halfway,
Yeah.
so that you can like mess around with development tools or things like that. Check out how if you make a character in Source Engine, how it would look and run in a Source Engine.
Huh.
You know, how you can
So it's kind of like
interact with it and stuff.
It's kind of like Microsoft Paint for video games, where you can kind of like
It's
use
kind of
this template to make your own stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of a good analogy for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like a big sandbox. You can play with it. And you're telling me that Nintendo is telling them to take down?
Yeah, so Gary's Mod has been around since 2006, and this is a Kotaku article that just came out just a couple hours ago as of recording this. Facepunch Studios, the developers of Gary's Mod, are in the process of removing about 20 years' worth of Nintendo-related content from the game. Because Nintendo talks about it after this ad break, because Kotaku sucks as a website sometimes.
So
Nintendo's basically telling them they've had all this stuff on there, and it's not anything that Gary's Mod... It's not like they were putting...
Gary's Mod didn't say, here's Mario.
Right.
You know?
They're not like, hey, here's Koopa shells
You
and
can
stuff like that. It's all user-generated.
You can import Mario into it. Yeah.
Right. So someone brought in Mario, and now Nintendo's forcing this developer to go back through and delete people's stuff.
I don't know why it would be Gary's Mod's fault that somebody did something with their game.
It's got to be the copyright issue.
It's just... But
I think it's...
No, you can't sell the product based on that property, though.
Well, it's the same.
You know?
It's the same internet laws that they got after what's his nuts on the Silk Road for that guy that's still in jail. I
don't
forget.
know.
There's the Silk Road on the dark
Yeah.
web.
Oh, yeah.
So people were doing breaking the law on his website,
Yeah.
So he was held accountable for that. And that's something that a lot of copyright claims are done based on it. It's what we talked about this with the Pirate Bay episode too.
Yeah.
They try to get you, it's on the service. Someone's breaking the law on the service that you provide.
You're not
so you need
breaking
to fix
the
it.
law, though, because
You're breaking copyright law.
No, because I'm not selling you the product based on Mario. I didn't.
But is Gary's Mod free?
Yeah, no, you buy Gary's Mod,
That's the thing.
but then I make a Super Mario thing. I can't sell you that, through Gary's Mod.
Yeah.
It's just, it's like Paint. If I drew Mario in Paint, they can't tell me, hey, delete that.
Right.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. And it's what we were talking about before we started the show is Nintendo is a very famously litigious company.
This is crazy.
But there's still such a part of my childhood. I mean, I remember people make like Star Wars fan films, or at least they did before Disney took it over.
Yeah,
But
had a lot of those.
And I'm sure they still do. And I know Disney, when Steamboat Willie came out of copyright last year, there was a bunch of stuff, and like people made that horrible Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey movie.
Yeah.
And now there's like a
There's a
Mickey
sequel.
Mouse stabber movie that's going to be coming out too.
There's a really cool video game. Shit, I don't remember what it's called. But it looks like Steamboat Willie as a first-person shooter.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now the guy's like, do I just put Steamboat Willie into this game now?
You might as well at this point if you've been doing like the little knockoff version of it. It's but yeah, it's something about Nintendo. I still in the
They still make good games.
they do.
I can't fault them for that. They make incredible games. They have
Yeah.
great theory on what makes a playable, fun, and engaging long-term game. They just really suck at what people are allowed to do.
Yeah. So what happened was Gary's Mod has a Steam page, and developers put up on the Steam page, like people were noticing that a lot of their assets had gotten deleted. And it says some of you have recently noticed that certain things have been, or Nintendo-related workshop items have recently been taken down. This is not a mistake. The takedowns came from Nintendo. And they said, honestly, this is fair enough. This is Nintendo's content, and what they allow and don't allow is up to them. If they don't want you playing with their stuff in Gary's Mod, that is their decision. We have to respect the takedown. So, I mean, I guess you throw your hands up at that point and like, hey, this company...
I get it. It's Gary's Mod. And if they say, yeah, we don't want that here because we don't want Nintendo talking to us about this.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do that. But it's definitely very strange. I don't know anybody that would buy Gary's Mod just so that they could mess around with Super Mario.
Especially because
inside of it,
they made a Mario Maker.
You make nude characters and then you throw them together in Gary's Mod.
Is that what's happening? Is people make the naked Mario?
That's what I sell you on.
Well, now I need to download Gary's Mod.
And then after a while, when you're done with all the nudity, you go, let's see what Mario can do in this thing. You're bored now.
What if this naked guy was jumping on a turtle? Can we make that happen? Just some smoke-filled development room with like a whiteboard. Just like, how do we make this more fun? What's the what we talked about last week? The TTP, the time to penis.
Yeah.
What's the time to penis on Gary's Mod?
Immediately. What are you talking about?
First step.
Yeah.
Does it just load in with a penis? That's hilarious.
It's literally one of the first images I remember seeing about Gary's Mod, which was a model of Kasumi from Dead or Alive.
Oh,
naked with a holding a censored sign over her breasts. And I was like, that's Gary's Mod. And then like that's just what pops up in my head when anybody brings it up.
Bunch of perverts on the internet, man.
My gosh.
They love it.
Yeah, it's everybody. It's all of us.
It's fair.
Ridiculous.
I mean, there's a reason it's a market for it. Speaking of things on the internet we saw today, that's a horrible segue. But I did want to talk to you. I sent you the trailer for Trap, the new M. Night Shyamalan movie. Mm-hmm. So Trap, it's continuing on. We don't know of the M. Night Shyamalan mystery. You're never going to figure out what this movie's about. Yeah. The conceit of it is Josh Hartnett and his daughter are on their way to a concert. It looks vaguely Los Angeles, probably Los Angeles. And it's Lady Gaga, Taylor Swift equivalent.
Pop star
Lady Raven
concert.
is her name. It's vaguely kind of like the Eras Tour.
I'm pretty sure it's M. Night Shyamalan's daughter.
She does play the pop star, yeah.
Yeah.
So, And there's a lot of cops there, and Josh Hartnett goes up to a guy in the trailer and says, "Hey, why are all these cops here?" And the guy working at the merch booth says, "Oh, we're not supposed to tell you this. But you know the butcher, that guy that's been cutting people up?
Yeah.
Well, he's here, and the cops are going to get him."
Yeah.
And then it cuts to Josh Hartnett in the bathroom, and he's looking at a
Phone.
thing on his phone, and there's a guy tied up with a security basement.
He's got live feed from his basement, which looks crisp as hell.
It's supposed to look like Josh Hartnett is the killer.
Yes, and now he's got to be like, how do I get out of here?
Yeah. How do I get out of this place?
And keep butchering people.
Yeah, because I love butchering.
I can't stop butchering.
And so that's supposed to be the conceit, but if we know anything about M. Night Shyamalan,
a twist.
There's got to be another twist.
A twist,
so
indeed.
I want this on record because it's a movie I want to see. It comes out in August. Yeah. I think we should go see it. And
yeah, sure.
Yeah, I mean, those movies are usually fun.
Dude, from the trailer, it looks like a fun movie.
Yeah.
I would honestly say that this looks very
like a very
fun.
Contained, like almost like that's what I liked about Signs. Signs was a movie that took place in like one place. It was just in that little farmhouse.
Yeah.
And
Signs
it was just
good.
Like one scenario and a bunch of weird shit happened. So
Village isn't good. That's the same way.
Yeah.
But
The Happening was terrible.
Happening is definitely his worst movie.
Is it worse than Avatar: The Last Airbender?
Oh, I haven't seen that one.
Me either.
I have seen The Happening though.
Yeah.
I would say The Happening is the worst one that I've seen of M. Night Shyamalan.
Fair enough.
I couldn't sit through Lady in the Water though.
Yeah.
I did not enjoy that one.
Didn't we watch that for this show? Oh, that was The Shape of Water.
No, I love Shape of Water.
Yeah, I know.
Lady in the Water is
so.
Boo.
What's your call on what this twist is?
I would say I have two ideas.
We're recording this on April 24th.
One, I would say no twist.
No twist. Just legit. Josh Hartnett's the killer.
Josh Hartnett is killer. Two, his daughter's killer.
Do you think? And he knows his daughter's the killer.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
So what's your play on this? He's like a dad that's like
I gotta protect my daughter.
But do you think he like found out that his daughter's the killer and he's in on it, or he's just like, well, I got to protect the kid?
Yeah, I got to protect the kid.
I snooped on her phone and I saw that she's. But she's like 15.
Good point. Why would he have it on his phone as well? Damn it.
Yeah.
My theory is flawed.
I think my first theory, because it doesn't say what Josh Hartnett does, but he gets like floor seats. And if I know anything about having a daughter that wants to go see a pop star live, those seats are ridiculously expensive.
It's like $10,000.
I think Josh Hartnett works for the pop star. The pop star's the killer. And I think it's some like either satanic thing or she's a vampire or she's something else.
You think it's going to be supernatural?
So he goes around with her, and that's how the cops are like, we know he's going to be at this concert because it's going to find out. That's what they don't tell you in the trailer that would give it away, is that people are dying following this tour.
Yeah. That's why they set up this trap here.
Uh-huh.
They knew that he would be there.
Right, because it's always when she's in town. So it's like a sacrificial
thing. So it has
thing.
to be somebody with the
So Josh Hartnett
pop
works for the
well.
pop star.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that guy's chained up in like the basement of that stadium. That's a fan that was at the show.
That's got to get sacrificed.
Yeah, so it's like a sacrifice thing, a satanic thing.
It's just a Santana thing, yeah.
It's a Santana thing?
It's a Santana thing.
It's Santana thing. It's so smooth, and it's just like the ocean under the moon. That was dumb. But that's my theory.
That's a good theory.
And the second question is, does this take place in the Unbreakable universe, and the Butcher's a supervillain?
Oh, who gives a shit?
Oh, but I like those movies. It's kind of fun.
Glass was fine.
Split was good.
Split was great.
Yeah.
And Unbreakable is great as well.
So what do you think? You think how, on a scale of 1 to 10, how likely is my theory that the pop star is a satanic vampire or something?
I would be so happy.
Yeah.
This would be so much fun.
I'm gonna put it on wax right now. Put it on wax right now. I called it right there.
Put it on wax right now.
Yeah. That's how you say like we're gonna record it. You put on like you record something, you can put it on wax.
No.
Yeah.
No, nobody does that.
No, that's how Thomas Edison recorded things on a phonograph.
I mean, yeah, he said it because he was literally doing that.
Right. That's where the expression comes from.
That's not an expression.
When I say I'm not going to get into the weeds about this, Jacob, it doesn't mean I'm going to go outside in the dandelions. It's an expression.
Well, that's an expression, though. The weeds, I've never, ever heard anybody say they're going to put it on wax.
Well, maybe I'm starting a trend.
Set it in stone. There's a saying.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to put it on wax, and I think I got it right. And I'm also going to put on wax. I'm going to try to put that phrase into this episode a couple more times. But speaking of this episode, let's get into it.
That's my favorite segue you've done yet.
Is it?
That is so good.
Speaking of this episode,
let's continue.
It was easier to do a segue when we had an ad break, because then that could be the segue.
No, that was best. That was awesome.
I'll take it. So let's talk about your recommendation first. The 2006 album Confessor Brings the Flood by Neko Case.
Yeah.
Jake, how'd you find this? This is not something I would think of for you.
The damnedest thing.
Yeah.
It was sometimes you go to Spotify and you listen to one of the mixes.
Shout out Spotify.
And the song Star Witness came on there. Mm-hmm. And I was enjoying that song. And I said, this song's very enjoyable. Let's check out the album. So I checked out the album. And I was like, this album's very enjoyable.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is out of my wheelhouse
for
to
sure.
listen to.
Yeah.
Right? What would Taylor think? There you go.
So it was more of an inquisitive, not as much you thought I would like it.
No, because I didn't think I would like it. This isn't my style of music at all.
No, it's really not. Well,
No.
I mean, it's
It's
emotional
country.
Canadian stuff.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
It's
you
kinda-
do like emotional Canadian stuff.
We both do. Crazy fool.
Season 3 of Shorzy.
Yeah.
I sent you that trailer today, too.
That's so exciting.
The Canadians get it a month ahead of us.
That's all right.
I'm fine
I'm
with
just happy to have it.
That's true. So, Neko Case, a lot of people might know her. She was a member of the New Pornographers.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So she was in, and that's when her voice sounded familiar. And then I was like, oh, yeah, New Pornographers is a band I'm not a huge fan of, but I've heard a couple of their songs before. So, yeah, this album, I would call it, it's folky a little bit.
Folk?
It's not so much country.
Country folk?
I would say it's modern folk.
Yeah.
But it's really nice. I listened. It's a short record. It's like 40 minutes long.
Yeah.
Very strange for you to pick. Like
Very strange, right?
I like this. Like,
Yeah.
It's a 2 for me. It's
Hell
not
yeah.
crazy good, but it's a 2 for me.
Her voice is beautiful.
Crazy. Songwriting's great too.
Yes. Star Witness is the breakout hit of that record for me.
No, let me pull up the Star Witness is great. Hold On was my favorite. It's a song right after Star Witness.
Hell yeah. Okay.
A couple other ones that I like. There were some that got a little. I mean, they weren't religious songs, but they had like religious connotations, like John saw the number and shit like that.
John saw the number was a wild one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really good stuff. It's just not out of left field,
Isn't it?
From you.
So yeah,
yeah.
I took a chance like crazy.
You did.
On this thing.
Yeah,
and I came out saying that was nice.
Yeah,
and I think that's a nice thing to feel. You know,
for sure.
Because
I definitely did. You listen to any of her other stuff?
No, I haven't yet.
So I put it on after I listened to this album twice. I put it on Neko Case radio on Spotify, and it bounced around. It gave me some new Pornographer songs that I had heard. Had a couple covers that she did. She did a cover of Buckets of Rain on one of her albums, which is one of my favorite Bob Dylan songs.
Okay, cool.
She crushes it. I love it. It's something I was talking about with someone. I have a playlist on Spotify that are just covers. I'm a sucker for a good cover song.
Sure.
And like there are a lot of versions that I like the cover better than I like the original.
And I think that's fine.
And I always want to hear covers because like my explanation for it is like what I do. Like I'm a cook. I'm not inventing a new recipe, but I'll take a recipe and do my version of it. And I really like to see
what a cool analogy.
What other people do. It's here's a recipe for pasta carbonara, and it's like, well, you got to try this guy's carbonara. It's like, oh, Buckets of Rain is a great song. Yeah, you should hear Neko Case's version of Buckets of Rain.
What a cool analogy, man.
That's just the way I make sense of it.
I was with a girl, and we were listening to music in the car. And the Presidents of the United States of America video Killed the Radio Star came on.
Better than the original.
And she was like, oh, I love this song. And then she listened to it for a couple seconds, and then she went, oh, it's a cover.
Really?
Yes.
There's some people that hate covers?
Just like at the face of it, being like, it's a cover that's not good.
One of my favorite parts of bars is cover bands.
Covers are fun.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're better than the original, like you said.
100%.
So... just like this, in this case, Presidents of the United States of America's.
This Neko Case.
It's just like in this Neko Case. Yeah. So that's great. I should check that out then.
It's definitely great. I think,
and I would say, backing away, I would give it a 2 as well.
Yeah.
You know? But
There's
it's
nothing
something
wrong with that. I've recommended things for you that are 2. It's just something new and fun.
It's something that's out of what we usually listen to.
I mean, and also this
what
album
we usually try.
This album's almost it's 18 years old.
Yeah.
So
it's new to us.
It's not like it's hot and fresh. I'm sure there are plenty of people that are like, oh yeah, Neko Case, she's great. And she is, and she's got a great catalog. It's definitely, if I had to set the scene for this, it's not, sit down and listen to it. If it's a nice day out and you're driving, put this on.
Yes.
If you've got
driving music.
a good set of Raycon wireless earbuds, still not a sponsor. And you're like cleaning up around the house or doing something. I put this on. I told you I've been trying to walk my dog and get him better at it. And where is he?
He's over here.
Oh, he's over there now?
Yeah, he likes to lay down near me.
Oh, I thought he disappeared.
He's asleep too.
Oh, yeah. It's late for him.
Yeah.
So I've been trying to walk him. Put this on, and I was walking around yesterday morning. Just gorgeous day. Like just walking around with a dog. Put this on. Such peaceful, just puts you in a good mood. It's impossible to listen to this album and not be
very
like
wafty as a lot of the songs.
It just it gets in you, and it's good music to the point where if you're walking around, it can change the rhythm of your walk, and it just helps you just enjoy stuff around you. I can't recommend this album enough. But our grading scale, up my alley, it's a 2.
Yeah,
it's not going to change my world, but it's really, really good.
This is exactly what I came with when I was listening to it. Yeah.
So fantastic.
It's like, this is a great album.
And
I'm really happy I took a shot on it.
I love the recommendation from you, because otherwise I never, if someone would be like, hey, this is the lady from the...
I love you. And I love you too, buddy.
Did I say that?
You said, I love you. I love the recommendation from you. You had to correct yourself.
Is that on wax?
Yeah, I'm going to shoot you.
Did I put it on wax?
I guess you put it on wax.
That's the only way you'll get it. But regardless, it's just great. I never would have recommended it. If someone had said, here's the song from the lady from the New Pornographers, I'd be like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, right?
Sure.
It'd be something that I'm like, what is this?
Right.
And then I tried it out, and I was like,
yeah.
Well, hell, yeah.
So everyone should listen to that.
Something that's outside of what I would want to try,
Oh, for sure.
A food analogy is a great one. I'm not a big fan of seafood, but every once in a while, you got to try some of it just to see, and sometimes you back away going, okay, I see what the whole hubbub's about.
Sometimes you're like, scallops. Huh. Yeah. How about that?
Hey, great point. Scallops are actually delicious.
The other album that I listened to was one of her more recent ones, which is
2009.
No, 2013.
Okay.
The worse things get, the harder I fight. The harder I fight, the more I love you, which was great. It has a song on there called "Calling Cards," which is really good. I'll recommend that one as well.
Well, more than likely listen to that.
Yeah.
On the way home.
Yeah. So Neko Case, Fox Confessor Brings the Flood. Great record.
Great.
It's on Spotify. Everyone should listen to it if you're like the situations we described, or however you like to listen to music.
Get out your comfort zone a little bit.
Yeah. Try new things with music.
Yeah.
Speaking of my comfort zone, All Affleck April. It's the grand finale.
Yeah.
We're here
It's
at the
final day. The final recording.
Yeah. I celebrate it all year round in my heart. But the last recommendation that I had for Jake, we had week 1, Air. We had week 2, The Last Duel. We had last week, Jersey Girl. I want to say so far, Jersey Girl was probably your least favorite.
I would say that is accurate.
You like Jersey Girl less than Air?
That's a conversation that we have to have.
So I feel we did have that. But
as far as being a movie goes,
so far Last Duel has been your favorite.
As far as why it's a movie,
yeah,
Jersey Girl is a much better movie than Air.
Fair. But Last Duel has been your favorite so far this year.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Out of the 3 that we've seen.
So I recommended this one. It is a 2003 film based on a short story from 1953.
Hell yeah.
Which is crazy. We'll talk about this because Jake and I both got into the short story as well. I gave Jake a copy of the short stories last week by Philip K. Dick and directed by acclaimed action director John Woo. So it's starring Ben Affleck. It's got Uma Thurman, Paul Giamatti, Aaron Eckhart. First feature film of Michael C. Hall, Dexter.
He is very awkward in this movie.
He pops up and you're like, oh, it's Dexter.
Yeah.
What's he doing?
He's kind of standing a little straight but hunched over a little bit.
He does look, when they said it's his...
awkward looking.
I saw the IMDb trivia. It said feature film premiere of Michael C. Hall, and I'm like, you can tell. Not that he's a bad actor, because he's a great actor.
Dexter.
But yeah. So basically how it sets up, it's in the generic near future. It doesn't give you a date. But Michael Jennings, played by Ben Affleck, he's a reverse engineer. He gets paid in the opening scene He goes in and he's buying a computer monitor because it's like a holographic computer monitor. Then he goes into a big room. He's like, all right, and this is your job. He's going to reverse engineer this computer monitor. And then he's in there for like 3 months. And then he makes a better one that doesn't need the screen. He creates just a hologram by reverse engineering this thing from a company. The company's like, we're going to make millions. And one of the ladies is like, I'm going to have sex with Ben Affleck real quick. And then we're going to wipe his memory. Paul Giamatti wipes his memory. And then he's like, where have I been for 3 months? You've been working on this thing. Do you remember what it is? Nope. Here's your paycheck. And then he goes and he starts watching the Red Sox play.
Yeah.
Because he's Ben Affleck.
Okay.
And
real quick.
Yes.
There's a part where he goes to his home computer.
Yes.
And he needs to log in. And do you see how many letters that he types in for his password?
No.
7 letters.
Yeah.
I think I know what his password is. Based on all the character descriptions that you've given.
Is it Red Space Sox?
I think it's Sox Rule.
It's like Red Sox 1 or something like that. Regardless, so that's the premise of the movie. And then he goes in, he gets called in by Aaron Eckhart, and he's got a new job. Job's going to take him a couple years. Ends up taking him 3 years. And then he goes to get his paycheck from the 3-year job. And they're like, oh, you said you didn't want any money.
Yeah.
This is in your handwriting.
You
said you
deferred
didn't
it.
want any money. All you got is this envelope filled with some trinkets.
We'll just give you your trinkets back that you gave us when you were 3 years ago, buddy.
Right.
And then he opens it up, and then he goes,
These ain't my trinkets.
These ain't my trinkets. These are 19 trinkets. I ain't got none of these stuff.
I know. It makes me want to spread them out on a bed in the shape of a question mark to try to figure out what they mean.
Huh?
That's a thing he did. So I recommend this to you based only on how much I got you to enjoy Phantoms last year. Where if you have this great quality where you can just step back and be like, this is a silly thing. It's a silly thing that people are taking very seriously. And I enjoy it.
Yep.
And I thought Paycheck would be a great finisher. Go Phantoms, we go Paycheck. It's good Ben Affleck. It's Ben Affleck doing his Ben Affleckist, just running around confused, acting like he knows stuff. Jake, what'd you think of Paycheck?
So, this movie came out in 2003.
2003.
Okay. So, I must have been 15, 14 maybe.
That's how that math works, yeah.
And I remember the commercial for this movie coming on.
This summer.
Because I remember it being like, I have these 19 clues to find out what happened to me. And I, being the cynical boy that I was like, this movie's going to suck because they already wrote down what those clues are. They're making it seem like it's a mystery, but it's not.
Yeah.
Which is an idiot thing that a stupid boy would think.
We were all stupid at 15. 2003 was rough for us, Jake.
But all these years later, I watched this movie.
Finally.
Because
your good friend started a podcast.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
You love it?
It's great. Yes. It's so good.
Yes.
I knew that this movie was great when they're interrogating him in the room.
Yes.
Where the seat won't stop spinning. And they're talking to him, and he's like, you just see him slowly turning away from him while he's trying to make eye contact and talk to him. And it's so good. And then they're like, I need a cigarette.
I'm so happy. I'm so happy right now.
The cop's like, I need a cigarette. And then they go through his trinkets, and they see he's got cigarettes. Like, hey, he ain't going to need these where he's going. Jail. So how about you help yourself to a cigarette, man? So they throw him a cigarette. He takes it out, and he lights it up. He breathes it out, and he looks up, and he sees that there's a smoke alarm, and he starts batting it away. And it doesn't work. It just makes more smoke from the suppression system to come out. No, nobody can see nothing.
Right.
But there's sunglasses inside of the trinkets as well.
And he puts on the sunglasses.
Ben Affleck puts on the sunglasses.
And he can see through the smoke.
Now he can see through the smoke. He gets up and he walks out of there with his trinkets with an envelope that's got 4 stamps instead of he needed 3, but it's got 4.
First thing the lady told him, you put too much postage on this.
He's like, hey, what's 50 cents to me, Ben Affleck? I mean, Michael Jennings.
Don't pay attention to all these red herrings that I've left laying around. So this movie, at its core, I'm not going to say this isn't the greatest Ben Affleck movie. This isn't the greatest John Woo movie. This is a very, very silly movie. But I love it, and I'm glad you came to it with the same way.
This is John Woo
yes.
doing his best Mm-hmm. He is in his.
Now, John Woo,
he's in his element making this movie.
He has said a couple times that he didn't have the best experience in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Because he was a great director in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
And
very true.
He did a lot of stuff known for the what's the phrase for it? Where it's like the it's probably on the bullet ballet.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Just really done gunplay, everything like that. Yeah.
It's great.
And a lot of even like the Wachowskis and like the Matrix, that was really inspired by John Woo. And then after the Matrix got big, Hollywood makes a mistake that it always makes, where it's like, let's get those people that inspired those people, and we'll just tell them to do stuff our way instead of letting the artists do things their way. Yeah. That's how John Woo also made one of the worst Mission Impossible movies. He did Mission Impossible.
That's a hard thing to say.
Yeah.
Maybe it's one of the worst, but it is definitely one of the craziest.
It also led to one of the greatest Limp Bizkit songs. But that's also not saying a lot. But he was in this Hollywood system, and they took a Philip K. Dick thing, because that was popping off. Everyone was trying to make the next big sci-fi thing. There's been the Philip K. Dick time when it was like they did Blade Runner and Total Recall based on Philip K. Dick stuff, and then around this time frame they did this, and then they did Minority Report. Minority Report, amazing movie.
I really like that movie.
That's one of the best action movies of this era. So that everyone was trying to find that, little. I mean, Minority Report inspired people to do the touchscreen in the air with the Apple Vision Pro. Everyone still refers to, when you see someone with a Apple Vision Pro just like touching and grabbing things in the air, like, oh, it's like Minority Report. Yeah. It's like, that movie nailed it back then.
I think I remember them not being favorable in the reviews of that movie.
I remember the exact opposite, because I remember seeing Minority Report, and I was reading it in the ad. It was back when you had to read movie reviews. It was playing at the DeSoto Square Mall in Bradenton, Florida, and I was reading the Bradenton Herald, and they had their summer movie list.
Oh, hell yeah!
And it was the only one that got an A.
Oh, look at that! That was a good movie, though.
Shout out Bradenton Herald. Mm-hmm. So,
let's back it up real quick.
Uma Thurman is a scientist that works for Aaron
I don't want to talk about Uma Thurman yet. I want to talk about Paul Giamatti.
Paul Giamatti as Ben Affleck's friend.
Is Ben Affleck's friend who shoots his brain at the beginning with lasers to make him forget stuff. And he's like, we got to make sure that his brain doesn't get above 40 or he dies.
Why is your Paul Giamatti George Lucas?
Because he's so good. That's why. He's a brilliant man who loves Star Wars.
I can't argue with that.
They're best friends. You could tell because they have a scene where Ben Affleck is training with a bow staff, and he needs the encouragement of Paul Giamatti to reach his true potential.
He's really training him. It's a real Rocky situation.
Bow staffing.
Yeah.
And it cuts so fast, I can't tell if there's scenes where he's just straight up hitting Paul Giamatti in the head.
And the whole reason for Ben Affleck to do all this kick-ass bow staff stuff is Paul Giamatti saying, we got to make sure your brain still works.
Yeah.
Because I just zapped it with a laser.
Yeah, you're getting bad at it.
And some guy bumped the machine, which made it almost boil your brain. None of that is in the short story, by the way. That's just added in for no reason whatsoever.
They touched the monitor, and Paul Giamatti was like, what are you doing?
It's like in Jurassic Park where they tap it and the picture of the velociraptor goes out of the way, only it boils Ben Affleck's brain.
Holy.
Paul Giamatti's
great. He's doing a great job being just a helpful friend.
Yeah.
And I was calling it at the end. I was saying, he's dead. He's going to die.
Yeah.
I was like, he's going to be the one that sacrifices. And let's cut back to after he gets out.
Yes. From working for Aaron Eckhart.
No, after he escapes the cops.
Yes.
Right? And he's getting out, and he's running away, and he gets to the bus station. And he sees security all over the place, and he's like, how do I get out of here? My trinkets? What's that? A bus pass. That's right. He swipes it through. He's in. He runs away. He loses them. That's when he started to put together, oh, these trinkets are helping me out in situations that are wild. Mm-hmm. And this is when I knew that this movie kicked ass, was when he takes out the diamond ring. Because this is when I was like, okay, like trinkets are doing stuff.
What's he doing?
What are they doing?
Diamond ring for?
What is this? Punk kid comes over, and he's like, oh, diamond ring. I can use that to sell it on the black market for money, for drugs, kid drugs.
Your kid drug buddy sounds more like Paul Giamatti than your Paul Giamatti impression, by the
way. So he walks up, and then he pretends to fall down and grab it.
Yeah.
And he gets out, and then Ben Affleck's like, oi, my ring. And he gets up, and he like runs out and goes for him. And then like him getting off the bus and getting away from that leads him away further from the cops.
Right.
And that's when I was like, oh, this is awesome. Like, this stuff is from the future.
Yes.
How?
How does he do it?
That's why this movie is great.
So, turns out, what he created for Aaron Eckhart was a machine that could see into the future.
Yes.
So he sees into the future. Eventually, he sees that being able to know the future is going to lead to a nuclear war. So he's like, I got to stop it. I got to destroy this machine. There's no way I can do that from the inside. I feel like you could probably just do that. So he's got to get out, trick himself into finding his own way back in so he can escape and destroy the machine.
Yeah. He installs the machine. And he
installs a bug on the machine.
He defers the money from himself so that he doesn't rest on his laurels. And then he swaps out his old personal belongings for these clues.
Right. That are all perfectly timed.
Yeah.
Going down to a crossword puzzle that shows him where the bug he planted. Because it's back when we didn't really know about computers too much.
So funny.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I cannot wait until they get to the crossword puzzle.
Yeah.
And it's so stupid because the clue on the crossword is what you use in computer chips to connect a circuit.
Right.
That's the exact thing that he's trying to do. Because
it's from the future.
My God.
Yeah. So he finds a way to stop the machine. And at the end, it's a happy ending at the end. So I'm so happy.
That's a great part. Because I was watching this with my roommate.
Yeah.
And he's got the fortune cookie thing.
Yes.
And he's reading the numbers on the back of it.
Yeah.
And my roommate, he was like, that's a phone number, maybe it's a code for something, and I was like, maybe it's just the lottery numbers. And then we get to the part where they're reading the lottery numbers, and it was the lottery numbers. Right. And I was like, I know this movie.
Yeah. Do you feel like you had seen this movie in the future and you've just incepted yourself?
Yes, that's what I did. What I like is that, the thing is, they took 3 years from him, right? And in those 3 years, he saw something that he was like, I need to get myself to remember this stuff.
Right.
That is such a cool premise for what's going on in this movie.
Philip K. Dick, man.
Philip K. Dick, I didn't finish it. I got very close to the end. But it's a very different story.
So the short story, and also the short story was written in 1953, but it was set in a definitely more futuristic. Like, he has to go back to the facility, which is in Iowa, and he takes a rocket car to get there, and it's really classic Philip K. Dick sci-fi future. It's not this movie, weirdly enough, is more grounded than the short story.
Yeah.
But at the end of the short story, what happens is he goes in cahoots with a secretary named Kelly, and he's like, all right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to blackmail the guy that was basically Aaron Eckhart.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell him, I want back in on your company.
Yeah.
And we're going to run the world together. Because
partner.
There's a real anti-government message involved in the short story where it's like the wars are going to start and companies are going to take over. And companies are the only good thing because the government can't get into companies.
Oh, yeah.
So I want to be in your company. It's
Philip
not
K.
I want to
Dick
destroy
hates cops.
Yeah. Philip K. Dick hates cops a lot.
Yeah.
So how the book ends is very different than the movie because how the short story, not book.
Yeah.
But how that ends is he's like, I'm going to blackmail you because I want to be part of your business. And the guy says, no, the business is in my family. It's been in my family for generations. Mm-hmm. And he has all the information about the last of his trinkets was a slip of something that was mailed. And he tells the secretary, when he steals all the stuff, keep all this stuff safe. And he's like, I know where you deposit it because I got this from the future. And she's like, how'd you get that? I have it in my hand. And then a black hole opens up in the sky and a time scoop comes and takes it from her.
Hell yeah.
Very...
That's what I'm talking about.
1953 sci-fi. Like a robot claw comes through the sky and steals the slip from her because it's not a time viewing thing. It's called a time scoop.
Yeah.
So it's literally like going into the future and scooping stuff out.
He had a time mirror to see into the future and then a time scoop
to scoop stuff out.
Scoop something out of it.
And it's literally a time scoop. And then
that's great.
And so how that ends is after they figure out, oh, that's how he did it. There's the time scoop. This all makes sense. It ends with Jennings, Ben Affleck's character in the short story, just being like, well, maybe I'll just become part of your family and marry your daughter and we'll have some kids. End of story.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
Would have been great, but I also like Paul Giamatti finding a lottery ticket under birds.
Yes.
Also
I like that one a whole bunch.
I'm so
happy. It was
happy.
Great Hollywood movie.
Yeah.
Great fun.
And like Phantoms, this movie is kind of a punching bag It's like, oh, you make shitty movies like Paycheck,
Yeah.
and Phantoms, and all the Ben Affleck stuff.
No.
And the hill I'm willing to die on is Ben Affleck gets so much shit for no reason. Movies like this are fun. They're
starting
good
to
movies.
agree with you so much.
Oh, I'm so
I
happy.
cannot believe how much fun this movie was.
Thank you.
There's so much parts where you're like, that is so funny.
Just turn your brain off. It's fun.
When you just accept it. Yeah, there's a part where they're trying to set up a shot so they can shoot them. Well, they had a shootout at the bus station.
They do the classic John Woo shootout or Mexican standoff too.
Yeah, twice.
Aaron Eckhart and Ben Affleck have guns right at each other's faces.
Oh, but they do one in the subway tunnels where they have the guns pointing at each other, and then Ben Affleck gets the great idea to eject the magazine from the gun and then kick it onto the third rail to make it explode. Yeah. And then they ran away.
It definitely has a vibe of they thought of cool shit and they worked backwards.
Hell yes.
And let's put him on a kick-ass BMW motorcycle at some point.
Yeah, because
he has keys to a BMW motorcycle.
My favorite thing, he doesn't kill people, other than there's people that die from his actions.
And at some point, there's a floating Segway that he throws at Aaron Eckhart. It's like a hover car. He just chucks it at him. Yeah. It's very strange.
Oh, man. Oh,
and
the action
is fun.
There's
an indoor rainstorm that Uma Thurman turns on.
Yes.
So somehow they can fight in the rain even though they're inside.
Yeah, and there's a cute little joke because Uma Thurman's a biologist who's a love interest as well. And she's working at the factory that Ben Affleck is going into. And while he's walking through her little biosphere that she's got, she turns on the wind machine so the wind's really loud and everybody laughs at Ben Affleck for being a stupid idiot. Yeah. You dumb, stupid moron. There's wind on you. Yeah. You look ridiculous. And my roommate did call it. He was like, they're going to use that to stop somebody. And like they turn on the wind and like four guys with guns are like, oh no.
What I love that you picked up on this about is something that I know you enjoy is when things get set up and they pay off. Yeah. Everything that's set up in this movie pays off. Literally, that's the plot.
The greatest payoff. Yeah. The greatest payoff is it's the watch. Yeah. The watch it felt so good when you hear the watch alarm go off. I am like, no. That is just a chef's kiss.
Available to stream on Max. Everyone go watch Paycheck.
That is John Woo just serving it up. Yeah. And they're going, bon appetit.
So it's a 3.
Yeah, it's a 3.
Perfect.
It's the 3.
So for the last thing for All Affleck April, as we close it out.
Yeah.
There's a trend going around that I thought a YouTuber that I like started, and he admitted that he stole it. It was like a BuzzFeed thing, and a lot of people do it. What I did is I went to Letterboxd, and I took negative reviews of things we've covered for All Affleck April.
Okay.
And this goes back to, these are all recommendations on this show involving Ben Affleck. So it's things we've talked about. I want to see how many of these you can guess just based on the review.
Okay.
You think you can do it?
No, because some people are just like, trash.
Well, I picked good ones.
Okay.
All right. So this is from user KBrown4, half a star. Half-assed approach towards the Me Too movement while forcing me to stare at Matt Damon and Ben Affleck's face the whole time. Pass.
Now, these are movies that I've watched.
For this thing.
Not just this month?
No. Well, yeah. It's a whole podcast.
Ben Affleck?
Yeah. This one is from this month, though.
Yeah, I'm thinking that the closest that I can think of for the Me Too movement is The Last Duel.
It's The Last Duel.
Yeah.
You're 1 for 1 so far.
Yeah.
This one from Chi-Chi's half star. What a dumb movie. CIA just sucking itself off.
Is that Argo?
It's Argo. You're 2 for 2.
That's definitely not what I would have walked away feeling that.
CIA just sucking itself off. This one from Hoen2553 half star. Jesus Christ, I wish I was blind.
Daredevil! Yeah! That movie is how many Letterboxd? 5 stars?
Yeah.
That is a 3-star with an I like it.
Fair enough. What is the next one? Half star from Derek S. Ben Affleck is a piece of shit, and he does a great job being one in this. Solid typecasting. But I will watch any movie with Rose McGowan, so here I am.
Rose McGowan is in a movie with Ben Affleck? And I watched it?
Yeah.
and I don't remember. Why is Rose McGowan in there? And what was she doing? Was she being Scream? Was she Scream?
Kinda. It's kind of screamy.
It's kind of screamy. Phantoms.
It is Phantoms.
Yeah.
Doing pretty good. All right. Couple more. This was so bad, whoever wrote this script probably eats sand. Has nothing to do with the movie. I just thought it was funny.
This is so bad. Air.
No.
Let's just go with it.
That was a review of Reindeer Games. Yeah. Two more. This one just a half star from Seb Grace. It just says ass.
Air.
That's Air.
Yeah.
That's a clever thing.
That's not bad.
And the last one, half a star. Obviously, I'm going to leave my wife and son because of this movie.
Jersey Girl.
That is a review of Jersey Girl.
Damn.
God, Letterboxd is a mean place.
I did all right.
Yeah, I think you got them all. It's pretty solid.
Yeah,
so
I want to say two things real quick about
go for it.
Ben Affleck.
Yes.
If I had to choose between recommending Phantoms or Paycheck more, I have to do Phantoms.
Yeah.
I think Phantoms is more of a fun romp.
And I think it's also more well known as what people say is a bad movie. Paycheck,
Sure.
like I meant when I brought a Paycheck to you last year,
that's
you're like,
a great point.
I do remember hearing about this. But Phantoms, and a lot of that is because Kevin Smith does the
That's
Affleck,
true.
you're the bomb in Phantoms.
Yes,
it's
that's
kind of
true.
a joke,
Yeah.
but a legit good
Like
movie.
you said,
Lawrence of Arabia is in Phantoms. Fuck's sake.
that's very true.
Yeah.
But Paycheck is definitely worth a watch.
Yeah.
Watch it with friends. Have a great time.
Do you want to hear the 1-star review for Paycheck that I didn't put on here because I figured it was too recent?
What?
Jesus Christ, what was the note to the casting director? John Woo wants the biggest heads you can find, just large noggins. It doesn't matter if they can act. Domes, man. Domes. There are a lot of big heads in that movie.
That's so funny. Oh, man. That's so funny. My other thing.
Solid one.
I think I found my favorite thing, the funniest thing that Ben Affleck has ever said. It's in Mallrats.
Yeah.
It's the,
Great movie.
New Kids on the Block? Call me Donnie.
Who's your favorite new kid?
Yeah, who's your favorite new kid?
Yeah.
Call me Donnie.
Gotta love Ben Affleck. All right, so that's another outstanding All Affleck April.
Way to go, buddy.
Thanks for playing along with me, Jake.
Dude.
2 years.
If you can hit the ending of All Affleck April like this every year, I'm a happy camper.
Dude, I'm already starting to work on next year. Even if we're not doing this podcast weekly, we will just come back every April.
I will watch at least one Affleck movie every April now.
Yes.
That will.
I hope it becomes a thing.
Yeah.
I would want nothing more.
It'll be a thing for me, that's for sure. I'm going to make sure that I watch on Affleck on April.
Perfect. All right, so thank you, everybody, for listening to the show. Like we said before, if you want to send us an email, you can do that to upyouralleypod@gmail.com. Subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on Spotify, TikTok, all that good stuff, Instagram, all the social medias. Let's figure out what we're going to be talking about next week. Jake, what do you got for me?
Mine is contingent on you.
Okay.
I need to hear what you want me to do.
I don't like that.
Oh, I really like this.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
Because I think I have
I've got something easy for you. You've been doing something for me this past month, so it's something that I know you're going to enjoy. It's a 3 for sure.
Oh.
It's just something I feel like you would kind of either skip or be like, I'll get around to it. Available to stream on Max right now. New series, Conan O'Brien Must Go. Conan O'Brien's travel show.
I watched the Hot Ones.
Yes.
I honestly did.
He's great. Great on Hot Ones.
That's one of the best. I keep forgetting that he is probably one of the greatest showmen.
This is why I wanted to recommend this to you, because I figured it's something that might slip by you because you're not on Max as much as I am. It's 4 episodes. It's on Max. Conan O'Brien Must Go. I will say this before we get into it. I know it's going to be an easy one, but I think it's going to be a fun conversation.
Awesome.
I think he might be one of the funniest people to ever walk on the planet.
I would have to agree with that.
Yeah. So Conan O'Brien Must Go on Max.
You're right. I would not have watched that.
Bam.
Awesome.
I'm getting good at this podcast.
Allow me.
You know what? I'm going to put it on wax. I'm getting good at this.
Shut up before I change my recommendation, because I am doing something for you.
Oh, nice.
Sir, there is something that we had to negate for April that must tarry no longer. We are watching Rebel Moon Part 2, The Scargiver.
Yes!
Yes, sir.
We're going to talk about it?
Yes, we're going to talk about it.
Spoiler alert, I started watching Rebel Moon Part 2, The Scargiver, and it opens with a boring recap of Anthony Hopkins' robot, Jimmy the Robot, saying what happened. Have you watched it yet?
No.
Okay.
No, I have not watched it
I
yet.
turned it off after 10 minutes, and I was going to recommend it.
I have had...
But you've been such a sport for All Affleck April.
This is what... Exactly, because I was like, he's going to go one way or the other. I was like,
really?
If he doesn't do Rebel Moon today,
Yeah.
it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And I was like, so... I will make it happen.
I was honestly afraid. We were a little news heavy at the beginning.
Yeah.
And when I was like, we could talk about this, we could talk about that, I was afraid you could be like, I watched Rebel Moon, and now you're going to have to talk about it. And I'd have to say, I haven't watched Rebel Moon.
Yeah. I was sitting on the fence to come in and surprise you, be like, guess who watched Rebel Moon, motherfucker?
And I've got theories.
Yeah. But I was like, no.
Yeah.
We're watching it together.
Nice. So we're going to watch Conan O'Brien Must Go.
Yep.
That's available to stream on Max. We're going to watch Rebel Moon Part 2, The Scargiver.
Yes, sir.
Obviously available on Netflix. I want to thank Jimmy Johnny for doing all of our promo art and all the stuff. I want to thank our buddy
Great job,
brother
Jimmy.
Bill for giving us the right to use their music for our intro and outro.
Awesome job.
Jake, happy All Affleck April. It's been one for the record books, and you could put that on.
Hey, you.
See you next week. Love you, buddy.
Love you, buddy.
Bye.